Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual. You guys know the deal on this channel. We must continue to set the record straight. Stop the lies. Stop the narratives. Stop them from rewriting the history, y'all. We must do this. And in this video, that's what we're going to do. We're going to stop them from rewriting the history, guys. By saying, I've heard the other day, I think it was NBA.com posted something on YouTube or whatever it was, saying that the 2024 Boston Celtics, the team that just won the championship, is one of the greatest teams of all time. The 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams of all time. I don't understand. Once again, this is what we're talking about, guys. These hyperbolic statements, people jump out the window, man. Yes, they won a championship. Great for them, man. But they're not one of the greatest teams of all time. See, this is what I'm saying, man. They're trying to rewrite their history, man. They're trying to bend reality and do these narratives, man. The Boston Celtics are a good team, man, but they're not one of the greatest teams of all time, man. I want to put them in the top 5 or top 10 greatest teams of all time. And we're going to talk about this video, guys. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states that's been supporting my channel. Once again, guys, I'm always humbled, man. Truly, truly humbled by all support, man. Shout out to all you guys out there, the true basketball fans that have been standing up, man. Thank you very much, guys. We must continue to set the record straight on these fools, man. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, man, I saw the other day that NBA.com, and I've seen some other sites also, posting, I think it was ESPN also, posting the 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams of all time. The 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams of all time. Talk about living in the moment, man. I mean, this is incredible, man, the things that people say these days. I'm telling you right now, this is my problem with the current state of the NBA and how it's covered. Every time someone does something or a team does something, whatever the case may be, it's the greatest of. Oh, these guys are one of the greatest. They're the most skilled. They're the best athletes. They do this better. They can shoot better. They can all these things. Everything is the greatest of all time over the last 5 or 10 years. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely insane for anybody to believe, especially if you're a true fan of basketball, for anyone to believe that all of a sudden over the last 5 or 10 years, basketball has evolved so much that the players have gotten so skilled and they're such greater athletes. It's insane for people to think that. You're an idiot if you really believe that. These guys are not tougher today. They're not bigger. They're not stronger. They're not, guys. Those are just the facts, man. They're the facts. So when I hear that people are saying that the Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams of all time, once again, I lost my mind because this does not add up. It doesn't add up. Where are they getting this from? Are the Boston Celtics a good team? Absolutely. They have good players on the team. But there's no one on that team that I would consider a great player. Not one person, man. I'm talking about all-time greats. Is there anybody on that team that you would consider to be an all-time great? Jason Tatum's a good player, man. Jaylen Brown, they're good players. Drew Holiday, they're good players. Al Horford's a good player, man. Right? Kristaps Porzingis, these guys are good players, man. None of those guys, to me, are superstars. I don't think Jason Tatum's a superstar. I don't think Jaylen Brown's a superstar. They might be getting paid like that. And no doubt about it. Like I said, they won the championship. But once again, I do not think any of those guys are great or all-time greats. Now, they have years to prove me wrong and become all-time legends. Maybe they win back-to-back titles next year. Maybe they win 2 or 3 titles in the next 4 or 5 seasons. Okay, all of a sudden now, you might be put in that conversation. Maybe all of a sudden Jaylen Brown has 2, 3 Finals MVPs. May we look at him as one of the all-time great players. But as of right now, to me, none of those guys, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, to me are all-time legends or all-time great players. I do not believe that. They're very good players. Absolutely. So when people say the Boston Celtics are one of the all-time great teams, I don't buy this, man. They might be one of the really good teams of the last 5 years. But to me, to be all-time great, I don't think so. Now, once again, they've only won 1 championship. They can go back-to-back next year. Who knows what happens down the road? This could be their last title. We don't know. So once again, this is part of my problem with people saying these statements. The Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been a disappointment over the last 4 or 5 years, guys. Let's be honest. They've been to several Eastern Conference finals, and they've choked many times. Even in the NBA Finals, these guys didn't show up, Brown or Tatum. right? So once again, this was more of a collective team effort. And I give them credit for that. We all think about Porzingis in game one coming through for them. We think about Drew Holiday. We think about Jalen. It was like everyone took a turn in one game or another. They got 4 wins, and 4 different players seemed to step up in different games, right? Porzingis one game, Brown another game, Tatum another game, Drew Holiday another game. And they had the complementary players around them, the Whites, the Pritchards, right? The Al Horfords, these guys playing their roles. So yes, they're a good team. When you look at the roster, they got some talent. However, when we think about who they beat to get to the finals, once again, I'm not impressed, man. I am not impressed, guys. And this is not taking away from the Celtics, but we must do what? Set the record straight here, guys. And what we're doing here when we talk about who did they beat, it's not that I'm giving shade to the teams that they beat overall. I'm talking about the players that were missing on those teams. It matters, guys. It wasn't like they were missing a player on the bench or a role player or a secondary guy. Each one of the teams that the Boston Celtics beat on the way to the finals was missing their star player. So we talked about Jimmy Butler. I did that video on him, right? And how he was running his mouth saying that the Boston Celtics, if he played against the Boston Celtics, they wouldn't have beat the Miami Heat. And I told you what? I said Jimmy Butler sounded stupid because he didn't even play. You should not be running your mouth when you weren't even on the court. But I also said what? He had a point when he said that because that's been the MO. For some reason, the Celtics choke up against Jimmy Butler. He got their number, right? Brown, Tatum, these guys disappear against Jimmy Butler. That's why he felt confident enough to say that nonsense. But the Celtics beat Miami Heat in the first round, and Jimmy Butler did not play a single game, guys. Not a single game. And yet the Miami Heat was still able to beat them in one game? How is that? If the Boston Celtics were that great, an all-time great team, they wouldn't have lost to a Miami Heat team without their best player. I mean, like, what are we saying here, man? Now we think about the second round, right? They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Once again, I'm not impressed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were led by Donovan Mitchell. I'm not impressed with Donovan Mitchell either. But also we think about the injury to Donovan Mitchell. They played 5 games, right? They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 4-1. The series was 2-1. And the Celtics were winning. And then Donovan Mitchell missed the last 2 games of the season. He's the Cleveland Cavaliers' best player, is he not? Yes, he is. But he missed the last 2 games of that series. And once again, the series was 2-1 in Cleveland when Donovan Mitchell missed the last 2 games. So who knows what could have happened if Mitchell could have played. And once again, I'm not impressed with Donovan Mitchell. To me, he's not a number 1 guy. And that team, to me, wasn't that great. And the Celtics beat them, no doubt about it. Once again, another main player injured. And then we think about the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. Once again, they beat the Indiana Pacers 4-0, no doubt about it, man. The Celtics are a good team. Tyrese Halliburton only played 2 of those games. He literally played half the series. He's their best player by far, easily their best player. And the Celtics beat them handily, like they should have. So when we look at the 3 teams they beat to get to the finals, it's not an impressive run. It's not a legendary run. They didn't really even beat any quality teams, and the teams that they did beat didn't even have their best players for either the whole series or half the series. Once again, not making excuses, these are just the facts that I'm reporting on here. So for people to say that they're a legendary team, one of the all-time great teams, it doesn't add up. They didn't beat any tough competition. They didn't beat a legendary player. None of this stuff on the way to the finals. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Celtics beat no one in the finals, but the Dallas Mavericks, let's be honest here, they're a good team, but they're not some great team. The Celtics, top to bottom, were a superior team to every team that they played, including the Mavericks. Right? We all know the Mavericks were top-heavy with Kyrie and Luka Doncic and a bunch of role guys around them. The Celtics are more balanced, more spread out. Like I just said, in a 4-game finals, they had 4 different guys step up in each game. The finals MVP could have went to Drew Holiday, Jalen Brown, or Jason Tatum. It literally could have. Guys stepped up on the Celtics. Their roster is much more superior to them Dallas Mavericks. When I talk about the teams that they beat, I'm talking about the guys being injured and the Celtics beating these teams, I'm not saying that the Celtics wouldn't have beat those teams with those players, but that takes away from your run to the finals. If all the great players, or if a great player makes a great title run, but every team that he played on route to the championship, they were all injured, then we wouldn't be holding that run and saying, oh, these were one of the greatest teams of all time, because they didn't prove themselves. They weren't battle tested. I talked about this before with the Denver Nuggets. They weren't battle tested, right? So they won one championship and they got knocked out this year. The same thing can happen to the Celtics. They won the title this year. They can never make it to a finals ever again. They could not win next year, the year after that, the year after that. And this run, if this is their only title, it's not impressive, guys. It's not. And I'm not knocking the Celtics. The fans should celebrate this championship. It's a real legit championship. They won it, no doubt. But once again, when people are trying to tout them now and saying they're one of the greatest teams of all time, now I'm not buying that. They're not one of the greatest teams of all time. They're not led by a legendary player. They're not. I mean, just think about some of the great teams. You're telling me this Boston Celtics team is better than any of the 60s Celtics with Bill Russell? Who the hell is stopping Bill Russell? Who? I mean, my goodness. Come on, man. I'm going to go with the Bill Russell Celtics with Cousy and Havlicek and Sam Jones and Heinsohn and Sharman. I'm going to go with the 60s Celtics teams over this team any day. Any day. Will Chamberlain Sixers team? I'll take Will Chamberlain's team over this team. How about the Lakers with Jerry West and Will Chamberlain? I'll take that team over this Celtics team. Let's just think of the 2008 Boston Celtics. The last time the Celtics won a title. Are you picking this team over the Boston Celtics in 2008? I don't know. For me, once again, I'm going to go with Kevin Garnett. To me, he destroys Al Horford. Destroys him. Destroys Porzingis if he even plays. Porzingis with his soft, frail body. I'm going with Kevin Garnett. Now, as far as Paul Pierce goes versus Brown or a Tatum, I'll give the athleticism maybe to those guys, but the clutch playability, the big-time play, I'm going to go with the truth, Paul Pierce. To me, he's more consistent in big moments. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, man, these guys are very inconsistent. This is why they need each other. Because one guy lays an egg, the other guy plays good. Then one guy plays good, the other guy lays an egg. They're never really both on consistently. That's, to me, how it seems. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm going to go with Paul Pierce. Rajon Rondo versus Drew Holiday, it might be a wash, but I might go with Rondo. Playoff Rondo, he's known for stepping up in big moments. We think about Ray Allen. Like, these guys, to me, I'm going to take the Boston Celtics in 2008. They just seem like a tougher, grittier team to me, and I'm going to pick them over this Boston Celtics team. Now, we all say and we all, realize the 2008 Celtics, they underachieved a little bit. They should have won more than one title. But once again, look at the teams that they were going against in the finals. They were going against Kobe's Lakers in the finals. That's a lot different than going against the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving and a bunch of, role guys around them. Not the same thing. So if we think about that, and we think about some of the other legendary teams, are you going to put this Boston Celtics team over the 80s Celtics with Larry Bird? Are you going to put this team over the 86 Celtics? No. I mean, they're not even probably as good as the 87 Celtics or the 81 Celtics. I'm not putting this team over any of those teams with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. I'm not doing it, man. Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Bill Walton coming off the bench. I'm going to take that team, guys, over this Boston Celtics team. So once again, when you think about just the Boston Celtics history, this team is probably not even a top 5 Boston Celtics team of all time. When you talk about some of the 60s teams, right? Remember, the Celtics won 2 titles in the 70s. I believe, 74 and 76, I believe, led by Dave Cowens and John Havlicek. You could argue those teams were better than this team. The 80s Celtics, the 2008 Celtics. I mean, all these teams, to me, I don't see the Celtics being an all-time great team, man. They're not on par with any of the Chicago Bulls championship teams to me. I didn't even want to bring up Michael Jordan in this video, but to me, they're nowhere near any of those Bulls teams. Are they going to beat any of the three-peat Lakers teams? No. Who the hell's guarding Shaquille O'Neal? Who's guarding Kobe like that, man? I don't know, man. Those teams just seem better than me, man. They just seem greater. They had to beat greater teams to get to the finals. Those three-peat Lakers were batting against a really good Sacramento Kings team that was deep, man. Deep. They had talent. They had guys from top to 8 men deep. We talk about guys like Bobby Jackson and Mike Bibby and Vlade Divac and Chris Webber and Corliss Williamson. I mean, they just had a bunch of guys on that team. Peja Stojakovic, I think a young Hedo Turkoglu was on that team. I mean, they were deep, man. Doug Christie. They had a bunch of guys. They were going against teams like the Sacramento Kings, battling against the San Antonio Dynasty Spurs. I mean, they were going against some really good teams, man. In those 2000s, Western Conference was stacked, man. Obviously, like I said, the Dallas Mavericks, the Phoenix Suns. Just really good teams, man. So I don't think this Celtics team's on par with any of the three-peat Lakers teams. Are they going to beat Kobe Bryant's back-to-back Lakers? I doubt it. So I just don't know how they're one of the great teams. I mean, is this team even better than the Denver Nuggets from last year? Would this team beat Nikola Jokic Nuggets last year? I don't know. There's no way in hell, though. They're a legendary team. Are they better than the 83 Sixers with Dr. J, Moses Malone? I don't think so. Are they better than the 89 Pistons that only lost 2 games all postseason run? I don't know. I don't think they're beating 89 Pistons. I don't know about that, guys. So when we think about all-time great teams, I just don't see how we can put the 2024 Boston Celtics as one of the all-time great teams. Are they a great team? Yeah, they won a title. They're a great team for this era, for this season. They were the best team. But all-time great? Nah, man. I can't do it. Like I said, to me, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are not superstars. They're really good players on the cusp, but they're too inconsistent to me. Once again, how many Eastern Conference Finals have the Celtics been to? 4 or 5 Eastern Conference Finals? And these guys are very inconsistent. The Celtics should have won a title a long time ago, man. A long time ago. But they were getting beat by inferior teams, like the Miami Heat. They were losing to these teams that they should have beaten, that they had more talent than, because these guys were not stepping up and raising their level of play. So there's no way in hell I'm putting the Boston Celtics of 2024 as one of the all-time great teams. What all-time great team are they beating? Are they beating any of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty teams? The 2003 Spurs or the 05 Spurs? Tim Duncan would run roughshod over these guys, man. Those are just the facts. Once again, I'm not taking away from these guys. They got some good players, man. And they were a scrappy team. But once again, they didn't beat anybody. They did not beat anybody. The Mavericks there, they were okay team. But they didn't show up in the finals, and the road to the finals was not impressive. Once again, you beat who's in front of you. But every team that they played, it wasn't like they beat the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. But they beat the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. The Cleveland Cavaliers didn't have Donovan Mitchell for 2 games. And the Indiana Pacers didn't have Halliburton for 2 games. Once again, all the best players on every team. It was like they literally rolled out the red carpet for these guys. And like I said, it's not taken away from their championship, man. I'm not putting an asterisk on it or saying it doesn't count. They're champs. But I'm not buying that they're one of the all-time great teams. Not buying it, man. Now, like I said, if they win next year or they win a couple of championships and then over the next couple of years or less several years, then yeah, maybe we can have a conversation with them being up there with some of the other all-time great teams. But right now, I'm not putting this team anywhere near a top 20 all-time great team, man. I just can't do it, man. There are just many other great teams, man. I'm going to put George Mikan's Minneapolis Lakers above this team. I mean, what are we saying here, man? You guys know the deal, man. I don't believe the 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the all-time great teams. They're a good team, man, and congratulations to them, no doubt. But I'm not a believer in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as being superstar players, as being guys that are known for raising their play or being consistent, man. They're inconsistent, man. These guys be laying duds out there. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.